And last but not least, we have Soph Sawyer. Hey, I have media, but if we can keep the lights on, that'd be great. If we can keep the lights on, that'd be great. Great. I'm Soph Sawyer, and my film is called Influencer. So for any parents or really any older adults in the room, this picture on the left is a very familiar sight. It's no secret that we teenagers have our $1,000 security blankets, but some of us delve deeper into the digital world than the average person. You see, over the internet, people from all over the world connect over various forms of entertainment in groups called fandoms. These intense digital relationships are not something that older adults can easily grasp. This film will be exploring parent-child relationships and what happens when a parent crosses over into the digital world. Meet Rachel. She's very quiet in person, but her personality shines online in a fan community for a series called I Have a Robot. Ever since she has found her friend group within this community, her communication with the outside world has become incredibly limited, especially with her mother. Meet Susan, a working single mom trying her best. She's at her wit's end trying to form a relationship with her daughter who always has her face buried in a screen. Exasperated, she logs onto Rachel's laptop while she's at school and finds this whole online world, which presents a unique opportunity. Susan goes undercover online, posing as 16-year-old Alex, creates a Twitter account, goes undercover. However, one could say that she is too good at her incognito mission, and Alex becomes insanely popular, gaining hundreds of followers daily. Thousands of teenagers from all over the world are excitedly talking to their new best friend, who just so happens to be baking cookies for the PTA sale next week. Alex discovers fan fiction, starts writing, and trends to the top of the most read list, standing out as the English grad in a sea of freshman language arts students. Rachel reaches out and forms this close bond that Susan has been craving for years, texting her deepest, darkest secrets that she would never tell her mother, or at least that's what she thinks. Watch as Susan struggles to keep these identities separate, and see what happens when Rachel discovers the messages on her mother's phone. Something that makes the style of my film unique is the very minimal use of dialogue. I plan to tell large portions of the story through screens, similar to the film Searching by Anish Chaganty. I'm also very inspired by the film 8th Grade by Bo Burnham, a young creator that can tell a modern story so creatively and so accurately, which is something that I strive to do. The point of view will switch back and forth between the mother and the daughter, which will bridge this generational gap so prevalent in society today. Obviously, this whole living a double life story has been told before, from Neo in The Matrix to Hannah Montana. However, what makes my film unique is the perspective from which it is coming from. There's a new generation rising of new filmmakers and new filmgoers. Not only do I come from this generation, but I've been heavily involved in fandom communities for several years now. This will bring a sense of authenticity to the story, as I've gotten great inspiration from my daily conversations with my closest friends online. I hope for this film to start conversations between parents and children, where children will feel more comfortable sharing their interests with their parents. This gives them something to bond over rather than something to divide them. We plan to shoot over the spring of 2020 on school equipment with a budget of less than $1,000. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
That was an awesome pitch. I love your energy.
Thank you.
And your enthusiasm. You're clearly very excited about this project.
Yes.
I would love to hear how it's resolved.
Yes.
What happens at the end?
Yeah. I imagined, at first when I was thinking about this film, I imagined that whole cliffhanger moment of her finding the messages and then an ending, but I think it deserves more of an official conclusion. I really don't want that angry moment of like, how could you betrayed me, you know? I don't feel like that's necessary. I think, you know, of course that anger and frustration that comes at first, but then coming to that more understanding of like, I know where you're coming from now, I understand this world that you're living in, and now I want to hear more about it just as your mom, not as Alex.
Great. I think it feels very on theme with what you want to say.
Yeah, I'm, again, also a great pitch. I loved your kind of jumping in point. I thought it was, again, you're very passionate about it, and clearly with, I'm also I know you mentioned you feel like you are the person that can tell this story, and I'm just also curious your entry point as well. Like, why do you want to tell this story about, especially between a mother-daughter dynamic? I think that's really interesting.
Yes. So, like I said, I've been involved in fandoms for quite a few years now, and it was something that my mom stumbled upon by accident. she was like on Twitter and she saw mine, and it was stuff that I was like not ready to share with her yet. And it was a very interesting car ride from school that day. But it's something the two of us have grown to understand more and more, and kind of in the space that I'm in now, like she knows who all of my online friends are. We talk about it a lot, we share that interest together, and I would like that to be a more universal experience, because a lot of my friends online, they have parents that really aren't supportive of it or don't know anything about it and think it's just like, you know, pedophiles catfishing you, all that. So yeah, and I want to tell this experience because like I said, it's not easily understood by the media yet, and I think it should be shared.
Were there any kind of specific fandoms that you want to portray in the film?
Yeah, it's the series that I mentioned, I Have a Robot. That was a real series that was created by the person that I have a fan and friend relationship with, but the series was scrapped, which is why I'm using it here. I wanted to bring it back, but yeah, the person that I've really been in that fan community, he does YouTube videos, and it's something that I've really been inspired by, and the kind of the reason that I'm going into filmmaking and the arts, so that's what I want to portray.
Cool. To your point also, I'm very curious about, as you mentioned it, which was great that you talked about it, is the lack of dialogue, and then you mentioned like a movie like Searching, and there was definitely like still dialogue in that film, because you have to have compelling characters and believe them, and again trust what they're doing. And so I'm curious if you could talk about, when you say limited dialogue, I immediately think that it really is more texting or just seeing more visuals than actual people speaking. So I'm curious if you could talk through a little bit, especially again in trying to create the distance between the mother and daughter, and then believe when they kind of have a moment of coming together or some kind of reasoning between the two.
Yeah, I definitely don't want it to be all like Searching, because that's 100% screens, and while I appreciate the creative aspects of it, like using the open FaceTime camera to show them like walking through, I really like the style of 8th grade, like following Kayla with the camera. That's something that I really liked. Really just following Rachel like through her school day, like at the beginning, not really talking to anyone, but always in her phone talking to her friends. So I think that can be a shift back and forth between the two.
That's very helpful. That gives me a better understanding that we're following the characters, and it's okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you.